Welcome back to my Road to Marvel's Black Widow series. This week we're on week 7, which means we're talking about Iron Man 3, and yes, I've got the sunglasses. So as we've done now for the past 6 weeks, we're going to start off talking about the new cast within this movie. First off, we've got Guy Pearce playing Aldrich Killian, and I'm a fan of Guy Pearce. Besides this, I think the only other movie I've seen him in is Memento. I could be wrong in that, but what for him as an actor, I actually enjoy him. I think he's good in this movie. His character I'll talk about later on in this review, but him in this movie I am actually a fan. Also, I don't know the actress's name, but she plays Maya Hansen. Very forgettable character. Again, I probably will talk about her character later on. Actually, you know what? Her character was meant to be the bad guy in this movie, which I think would have been a bit more interesting, because what her character is, as I said, is very forgettable within this movie. She's a very she could kind of be taken out of this movie and just adjust it slightly, and it wouldn't really change that much. So her character really isn't necessary for this movie at all. You also have Ben Kingsley playing the Mandarin. Of course, Ben Kingsley is an incredible actor. Him in this movie as the Mandarin is hilarious. It's intimidating. Works really well on all fronts. I think he plays a really good Mandarin. And I wonder who they're actually going to cast as the Mandarin, if it hasn't been announced already, for the Shang-Chi movie. Because I'm wondering who they're going to get in to replace Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin. And then final up, we do have what's his name, Ty Simpkins as Harley. Harley. I'm a fan of that kid. He's been in, well, not a kid, I think we're actually the same age, but he was also in Insidious. He was also in Jurassic World. I like him a lot. In this movie in particular, which was my introduction to him, I like him in the movie. I like his character. I like that he came back in Endgame. Just the character himself, him and his back and forth with Tony Stark, something I really enjoyed. I loved throughout this movie how much of an asshole Tony Stark was to him, and he was an asshole, but he wasn't trying to be an asshole. He was just being himself, and it just came across really funny to me, and all the back and forth they had just worked really well for me. And this movie has two starting points. It starts with the flashback, of course, and you get to see Tony Stark meeting Hope Yinsen. You get meeting Aldrich Killian when he's younger. All of that, really a lot of fun. You actually get to see Happy Hogan with a bit of a mullet, and what I've got at the moment, I thought it was pretty cool to see him also with a mullet. And also the whole quote of "You know who I am." I love that quote. That is my actual Instagram bio, and it has been that for like 5-6 years. I just love that bio. But we also get probably the even better introduction to this movie is him getting the Mark 42 on. He's jumping around, the suit is coming in all over the place, the Christmas music playing, all that entire scene. I love it. It's badass, and it's such a memorable and fun scene to start off this movie. And Tony Stark having PTSD, I think, is a really interesting idea, and it's a really smart idea. Having someone who in the first movies was so bigger than life, such an obnoxious guy who was so confident, to bring him down, to give him PTSD, to show that anyone can be affected by this. Anyone can have like a not mental disability, but anxiety pushing him down. I just think that worked really well, and the way Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. plays it, all of it works really, really well for me. And I'm actually glad that they did give him this disability within this movie, just to make it feel a lot more real, and just to kind of take Tony Stark down a little bit, and just make him a lot more relatable within this movie. And the Happy Hogan accent again works well, because I actually liked him in this movie. I think if he was like he was in the first two movies, I would have been sad to see him happen, but I wouldn't have been as attached, just because he was a lot more quippy, he was a lot funnier in this movie. So his accent kind of hits me a lot more in this movie, rather than if it happened in the first two movies, when he was kind of the Happy Hogan he was in those movies. So you do also have the destruction of Tony Stark's house, which, again, I actually love that scene. I love the scene when he gets the armor on Pepper, she gets out, and as soon as she gets out, he calls the armor back. But of course, the Mark 42 armor it's kind of a piece of shit. It doesn't really work that well. So he can't fly, he can't shoot anything. So what he's doing is he's getting the missile, he's throwing it. Oh no, he's not even doing that. He's getting a piano, he's throwing, and he's blasting the piano to take in the planes. So he's doing whatever he can to actually stop these helicopters, just because this armor does not work. And a lot of people complain, saying, "You're in your house, why didn't you just call one of the other armors?" Well, it's kind of explained. That's the only armor that's the only armor he's able to call, and the house party protocol had not been activated yet, and probably because he was in such a shock that someone was actually attacking his house, he was just panicking and just trying to do whatever he can, and the house party protocol was probably in the back of his mind. Because if you're in that scenario, you're probably going to be thinking, what's the quickest way to get out of this, rather than, oh yeah, I can just call this. He's probably just panicking, and he completely forgot about it. And then we also see Tony Stark break into the mansion, and he's not Iron Man, he's Tony Stark. He's using like this glove that's connected to wires, and he's electrocuting guys by the head. He's getting those Christmas baubles, dropping them, and they explode. It's a lot of fun to see him actually think outside the box. And that is one of the complaints a lot of people have with this movie, is the fact that he's not really Iron Man for a lot of it, and it's just Tony Stark, which I like in a way. I like that it's the man outside the suit using what he can to get the job done. It shows that he's more than just a suit, and as he says, he is Iron Man with or without the suit. So I like the fact that they kind of take him out of the suit and show that he is well capable of defending himself even outside the suit. And we also get the Mandarin twist in this movie that, oh, I'm probably not the only. I think everyone was shocked by that. And the twist so much, I don't mind. I think it's the fact that I've read a few comics, Iron Man comics, but I've never come across the Mandarin, so I've never really cared about the twist. Of course, if I did read the comics, I'd probably be really annoyed. But for what it is, I like the twist. I like how shocked I was. I like that it was an actor. Most of it, I really like. The thing I don't really like, the fact is that Guy Pearce's Aldrich Killian is not as strong as a villain as the Mandarin is. I think the Mandarin was really menacing, very much a badass villain, where I think Guy Pearce's villain, even though he's very menacing, I don't really take him badass, and I don't really take him that seriously. So I feel like we got a really great villain in the Mandarin, and we decided to replace him with Aldrich Killian, who I think is just very much more of a weaker villain, and I just don't think he lives up to the high kind of status that the Mandarin did. So I think the twist works for me in a way that I really like the twist, and I still really like the movie, but I don't like that we took a great villain and now switched them with a kind of a weak, forgettable villain in that element. That's something I didn't really like about that. But after the twist, of course, Tony Stark gets captured, and then we get to see him escape the mansion, which I think that's a lot of fun. When he's chained to the bed, he's given out, and he's waiting for the armor to come. Eventually, an arm comes, a leg comes, and he's trying to get out of this, and eventually the rest of the suit comes, and it's just kind of smacking on him all different places. And of course, the suit still doesn't work, it can't fly. So a really funny scene of him walking down the steps. A lot of it, all this movie, I just think the entire escape from the mansion, really, really funny. Then you see him and Rhodey on the boat. He's charging the suit literally with a car battery. All of that works really well for me. And then we come up to probably one of the best scenes in this movie, is the attack / the rescue of Air Force One. The attack itself, it's good. It's not as good as the rescue, because the rescue is fucking amazing. All the people falling and Tony Stark's catching them all, everyone else catching each other. I just think that's such a great scene. Always when I see that scene, it gets me really pumped, it gets me really excited, and puts a big smile on my face, because that scene just really, really works for me. And then we continue on, and we actually get to see where the final battle is going to be held, and a lot of that works really well. They got the back and forth with Rhodey and Tony Stark at the start, where he's saying like, oh yeah, I'm out, you give me some bullets. Rhodey goes, oh no, they're not universal, I can't give to him. He goes, but you got like 9 of them, just give me one. And then you also get the scene when Rhodey's like, or Tony shoots a bullet, he doesn't even hit the glass, and Rhodey goes, I can't believe you missed it. Tony Stark goes, oh, there's no way you can hit a glass in there. And Rhodey just turns around without even hesitating, shoots a bullet, smash the glass. All that works so well. Their back and forth is so much better in this movie than it was in the other one, because in the other one they were kind of fighting a little bit, but in this movie it works really well for me. You find out the house party protocol being called, and when all those armors come up, I just think it's great. I just love that scene. All the different armors come up, and Tony Stark just literally jumping from armor to armor, trying to save Pepper Potts, who of course has been captured. Pepper Potts, I've said in my other 2 reviews, I was never a fan of her, but in this movie, I think she works a lot more. She's a lot more comedic in this movie, where in the other 2, she was very serious and kind of very boring, but in this movie, I'm actually a fan of her in here, because I actually kind of find her to be funny, to actually be more of a character rather than just a love interest, which I think is a major benefit for her character within this movie. But then you see Tony Stark, of course, they're fighting. He's going from suit to suit to suit, and then he's on the roof with Aldrich Killian. Pepper has that fake out death, which I remember the first time I was like, holy shit, they just killed Pepper Potts. And even watching it, when he says, he goes, I promise I'll catch you, and she falls, it is like a gut punch. Even though you know she survives, it is so sad to see her actually fall to her death after him promising he'll catch her. All that I just think works really well. Even though I've seen this so many times, that emotion just hit me in the stomach really, really rough, which honestly I wasn't expecting it to hit as well this time, even though I've seen the movie so many times. But then You do see Tony Stark, see Aldrich Killian, they're fighting on the top. Tony Stark's got no suit left, and all of a sudden you see a suit flying in the back, and he goes, "Oh, finally, the prodigal son returns." And then it's hilarious. He calls the suit to come onto him, and it bangs off. I don't even know what it bangs off something, and the suit just falls apart, and it's just hilarious. It shows how I love how much they make fun of the suit in this movie. I just think like, even though it's like his latest one, it's probably his worst armor because of course it is a prototype, but it just does not work. No matter what he does, the suit doesn't work. So Tony Stark decides to take advantage of that, tells the suit to go on Aldrich Killian and blow up. And it's just, I like it. I like the kind of him going, you know what? He's using his brain, like in a fight scene. It's like my complaint with the Incredible Hulk movie was the action sequence at the end is really boring. It's just two big grey hulking monsters punching each other, which I can enjoy at times, but for that movie I was kind of expecting a better finale. But for this movie you see Tony Stark actually use his brain to get out of these scenarios. In a lot of the action sequences it's not just punching, it's him actually using his brain to get out of all these scenarios, which works really well. Of course Pepper Potts isn't dead. She's the one who actually kills Killian, which I'm not really a massive fan of it. Of course, this is our last Iron Man movie, and the fact that he doesn't kill Big Bad, it's actually his love interest. Didn't really like. I kind of would have. Of course, it makes Pepper look badass. It makes Pepper look good. But I don't like the fact that she's the one who killed the bad guy rather than Tony Stark, who of course is our hero within this movie. You see him also destroy all the suits. Of course, all that works. Well, it works, but it also doesn't work because, of course, Age of Ultron, he's back in the suit. It's never explained. But for what it is, I like the kind of the symbolism of him going, okay, I'm moving on from being Iron Man. He gets the shrapnel taken out of his chest. The arc reactor gets thrown in the water. He says, I am Iron Man again, which just kind of brings it back from where the first Iron Man was to Iron Man 3, just tying it all nicely together. For me personally, I love Iron Man 3. I'm actually keeping track of my ranking of these MCU movies as I go along, see if my opinion has changed. And I've actually put this at number 1. I prefer it more over the first Iron Man. I prefer it over Captain America, the First Avenger. I even prefer it over the first Avengers because I think Iron Man 3 is a lot of fun. A lot of people hate on it, and I don't really understand why. I think this movie is a lot of fun. I think it's hilarious. It's probably, of all these ones I've watched so far now, it is the easiest movie to watch. And the next one is Thor: The Dark World, so I'm not really excited to that. But this one I just think is great. It is a lot of fun. But if you want to see my future thoughts on the MCU movies moving forward, next week, as I said, will be Thor: The Dark World. If you want to see my review on that, click that subscribe button so you can go back next week and hear my thoughts on that movie. But this is Iron Man 3's review, so if you want to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, if you love the movie, if you hate it, and how I'm wrong and how I should hate it, or if you love it as much as me, let me know why you love it, if there's anything I didn't mention here within this review. But as always, thanks for watching.